According to Senator McCain, in Iraq, quote, the surge has succeeded, a position echoed by the president, various right-wing media organizations, none of whom appears to understand the meaning of the word surge, nor of that other term succeeded. The Pentagon says the troop escalation inaugurated by President Bush 18 months ago is now officially over, with the last of the additional 5 brigades leaving that country, and General Petraeus set to make his next assessment on possible troop reductions come 45 days. But the numbers of troops still in Iraq belie not only the idea that the surge has succeeded, but also this new one, that it's over. There were approximately a total of 132,000 American troops in Iraq before the surge announcement, January 2007. By June of 2007, it was 160,000. Right now, with the official end of the surge, it's still at 150,000. That would be more than earlier. I'm joined now by our own Rachel Maddow, host of the Rachel Maddow Show on Air America Radio. Thanks for your time, Rachel.
Hi, Keith. Welcome back.
Thank you. You can't buy a day off from this show, can you? So if the surge is over and it was successful, why are there still 18,000 more troops in Iraq than there was before the troop escalation? Shouldn't we be at January 2000 levels, or, gosh, maybe even lower than that?
You might remember when Bush announced in January of 2007 that all these extra troops were going to go over, there was a little bit of a linguistic kerfuffle, with some people resisting Bush's efforts to call this a surge, saying instead, actually, this seems like it's an escalation of the war. Bush won the linguistic battle. It did become known as the surge, but it turns out the people who wanted to call it an escalation were exactly right. There are more troops there after the surge is over than there were before the surge started. That means that we've escalated our involvement in Iraq. But with this sort of terminology and with the kinds of arguments they made about this, they did succeed politically in turning most of the last 18 months into a debate about this one tactic, this one escalation tactic, rather than a debate about the overall war.
Or a debate about the last big topic, which was, of course, these benchmarks. The administration says the Iraqi government met 15 out of the 18 benchmarks. They're supposed to be 18 out of 18. But in fact, those are just done satisfactory in those. They're not met. And they are nowhere on internal disarmament and distribution of internally of oil money. Now, how is that a success?
And the overall point of the surge was to bring about, to create enough breathing room where there could be political reconciliation. The whole point of the surge was to create a sort of temporary peace so that the Iraqi government could get its act together. And the oil law, while that is fraught with political meaning here in the United States, what it means to Iraqis is that there will be an economy in Iraq, that there will be a natural resource that's put on the market for the benefit of the Iraqi people, and that money will be distributed in a way that keeps Iraq from fracturing. The fact that there isn't an oil law, even when we have no bid contracts for Western oil countries written by American advisors to the Iraqi oil ministry, means that there's no guaranteed future that Iraq will continue to exist as a single country. There haven't been provincial elections. They haven't handed over security in all 18 of Iraq's provinces the way they said they were going to. The surge may have done something. It may have reduced violence. There were also other things that contributed to that, like the Mahdi army ceasefire and the Sons of Iraq paying the Sunni militias not to fight us. But the point of the surge was to bring about political reconciliation. The main Sunni political bloc in Iraq still does not participate in the Iraqi government. The Kurds walked out yesterday. It just hasn't happened.
All right, back to where we started tonight, this quote from Randy Schooneman. We cannot afford to replace one administration that refused for too long to acknowledge failure in Iraq with a candidate that refuses to acknowledge success in Iraq. We've seen the media softballing John McCain like Josh Hamilton's batting practice pitcher in the home run derby softballed him. But even in that context, can John McCain's people really get very far trying to sell, just in terms of Iraq, Obama as the third term of George Bush?
This is stupefying. It's like the next thing they're going to accuse him of is having been part of the Keating 5 scandal, or having in his 26 years in Washington not passed a single piece of major legislation that he didn't later repudiate. I almost don't know whether it should be rebutted or if it should just be repeated all the time and laughed at. Because the idea that the American people are going to fall for the idea that Obama is the real Bush in this race and that McCain represents real change is stupefyingly funny, more than I think it needs to be rebutted.
And lastly, McCain has questioned the Obama strategy about getting out of Iraq. I don't know if you knew this. I've been on vacation. Where is Obama on this right now?
He is exactly where he's been all along. And you can take issue with where Obama is on Iraq. You can argue with him about it, but he hasn't moved. He says that he will end the war in Iraq, in contrast with John McCain. He wants an indefinite commitment. He wants it to be a 16-month plan that is subject to conditions on the ground and what the generals think needs to be done in order to get that mission accomplished with the most safety and security for America's troops. But it's the same plan he's had all along.
Rachel Maddow of Air America Radio and our own affable ninja. Great thanks for holding down the fort.
Thanks, Keith.